a bit of that game.
Thank you, Riven. Some analysis we shall do. What a game one, though. We have to start from the beginning because we had all of this prep. We talked about how the teams would draft. We talked about which players would impact where, where we expected teams to succeed and fail. So let's start at the beginning. In that drafting phase, we saw the hover over the Rise, but then going with the Kassadin. So Faker already coming out with something new this time around.
Yep, Kassadin with an easy lane and taking Ignite and being able to make it happen with roams rather than try and answer with teleport.
Yeah, I really am surprised that SKT decided to blind pick the Rumble here because they must have known the Riven was going to come out, but Marin is one of, if not the best Rumble players in the world, so that really helps that you at least have him comfortable in any matchup. Now, KOO, I thought their draft was great. This harkens back to their Juggernaut day or Juggermaw days when they would play the Lulu with the Kog'Maw. This is the team that invented that strategy, so they've got to be comfortable with it with Jinx.
And I have to reiterate back on actually SKT's side, Marin's play. Once again, this was pretty much just what we were talking about in the pregame. We're talking about his use of Fog of War, the information denial, and how he always keeps his CS, and he always is able to make that teleport play on time because of the way he manages minions. The other big one I want to point out for SKT this time around was the Shen support pick, actually. That's what facilitated a lot of the playmaking for this team. Wolf had 19 out of 20 kills, just missing participation on one of them, or kill participation, not the actual kills.
You saw there for a moment the team's already strategizing for game two, so plowing ahead there. But Krepo, I want to come to you because as Monty mentioned, this is a team comp for KOO that we would love to see. We imagine they're very comfortable with. So for both of these teams coming out of the draft with compositions we would have expected out of them, however, they didn't come away with the win. So where did they fall short in terms of playing it out correctly against this SKT comp?
Looking at champs like initially, I also like KOO Tigers comp, but I think SKT is running a very risky composition to play. If you fall behind, no amount of gap close is going to help you. You're just going to run out of damage, but they managed to play the map so beautifully. More importantly, the way they use teleports, and especially one of the first ones with Rumble, I think we have a replay of that already, so we can get to that. And that was just really beautiful map play. They saw Hojin in the top lane, then later on, so Hojin right now, he gets spotted in his signature gank because he always goes for the lane gank, counter gank. He doesn't take the usual path. SKT did their scouting, and then he moves into vision, and immediately they set up a ping is being made right now on the bottom side of the map too. Goes into Fog of War as well. Marin disappears. Gorilla, look at the ping where they're about to place. They're like, okay, top lane is calling, okay, my top laner can teleport, but it's like, he's nowhere near. So they don't expect him to come around all the way from the backside of the turret. Suddenly Equalizer lands, and this completely confuses KOO, and then a good follow-up roam, I believe Faker shows up too. That entire play, punishing Hojin being in the top lane, that is just executed so well, because a lot of these teams will go for a two-forced teleport play here, not using the ward over the wall, going around the tower, maybe getting one kill, and then losing the top lane tower in return. This was just so crisp.
But the major mistake there, right, is that there wasn't any pressure in the top side, so it left SK Telecom free to just teleport down to the bottom side. They couldn't even take anything with Smeb. Smeb had the opportunity to teleport, just sat up there farming instead. So it's about when to make plays, how not to overextend in that situation, and prevent really easy teleport ganks like the one we saw from SKT.
Krepo?
Yeah, and then from that point onwards, I love the way SKT, we describe them usually as a split push, 1-3-1, that's all we've been talking. And then they
or
play,
1-4.
Yeah, 1-4, and then they play these really, really nice team fights where they dance on the edge of zones. It's really hard to read unless you've played against really good Riven players. They constantly respect flash stunts, flash knockups, and they dance just at the edge. And then when somebody mispositions, KOO was grouped for a lot of these fights, but being grouped against SKT doesn't really mean grouped at all anymore because they pick up at the sides and they tear you apart. Then you have the zoning equalizers come in, and the pacing and the positioning in these fights was just absolutely beautiful from SKT.
It really was, and it was actually a good showing by KOO. They had early momentum, which is difficult for them to get, and then they transitioned into the mid game. We saw so many of these team fights fought around ultimate timers. They weren't even getting kills. There were multiple team fights where you were just fighting for the advantage in cooldowns.
Yeah, that 10-minute fight there, as soon as that was over, SKT had a 1K gold lead. But prior to that, entirely even, which is not something we would have expected given the statistics coming in. Now, moving ahead, though, at 20 minutes, Marin up 17 CS. Faker down 7, Bang up 4. But this is essentially, again, what we expected. The middle and the bot lanes going about even, and Marin creating this huge discrepancy. Beyond that CS2, 2 to 3 levels up for the entirety of the game, he really was putting a ton of pressure on the map.
So that's why we hit it so hard in the pregame, James. Marin's macro is just It's really impressive, and I feel like because Smeb has had so many great highlight games leading up to this in the last 2 best-of-5s that they played, a lot of people kind of forgot about the work that Marin puts in.
And just SKT, they transition advantages to different sides of the map. So Faker does run that teleport, goes mid, pushes up. That allows him to roam. Suddenly he has a global ulti on the support. He goes top. He solves the Smeb problem for Marin. They don't even have to take him on 1v1. Chunk him out with the ultimate. Smeb's like, okay, what the hell was that? Oh, suddenly Faker's here. Shen teleport. And the KOO Tigers, because they have such a laid-back playstyle very often, they don't have the incentive to really punish those plays. SKT gets too much freedom, and they're finally showing what you do with that freedom against a team like KOO Tigers.
Now, finally, I do want to push ahead to our last replay. 32 minutes into the game, mid lane, another 3-0 for SKT. Crepo, I'm gonna let you take this one, as I know you love it.
Yeah, just like look at what distance. Like Faker knows he can go into that distance, and they all like step back and forth every time until somebody mispositions here. And here, Prey, he gets exhausted. Equalizer comes in, and this is the fight over almost.
And there are multiple Zhonya's initiations and re-initiations here from both Faker and Marin as well, keeping up the pressure. They just chase you down the entire lane, making use of the Sivir pick here, the extra speed for them. They're able to continually re-engage the fight.
Yeah, Jat mentioned during the game that so often we see SKT itemize towards that mid game, getting the early Zhonya's and the flat penetrations, and it's so much confidence that they're displaying in itemizing that way.
And talking about that too, I have to question Hojin's build a little bit this game. He went Warrior Enchant into the
Sightstone, he had Aegis.
Sightstone, yes, but Aegis came later, so it came after the Hexdrinker, and I think that may have been a bit of an overreach. I think they needed that early Aegis in the mid game against all this magic damage that was coming out.
It's a really good point because he was set up to build it. He got the first blood money. He got the kill credit.
Yeah, he had three kills in that game, so yeah, definitely I think if you get that Hexdrinker, you have to make kills with the Riven. You're trying to burst somebody down very quickly with the Riven, Lee Sin combination. But since that didn't happen and they were more focused around team fighting, I really think having that item earlier may have swung some of those team fights.
Opting for the individual play as opposed to the team fighting prowess. Now, of course, throughout the day, we'll be checking in on a few of the viewing parties that have been taking place around the world to celebrate the championship finals. First up, you're going to get a look at fans lining up for a party in Hanoi, Vietnam. And the crowds are fired up in Rialto, in the Rialto Theater rather, in Montreal, Canada as well. That looks like a party, one that I would like to attend. Our friends at Coke have gotten in on the action as well. You're gonna see parties like these all over the place, one of which you're gonna see here in Amersfoort in the Netherlands.
It's a nice try.
Did I not nail it?
You got a smile. Yeah.
I can't. Having Crepo on the desk is the worst when it comes to pronouncing anything
and
European.
Every other reason, too.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for every other reason. Well, but for now, we're going to step away while the teams prepare for Game 2 between the KOO Tigers and SKT. Don't touch that browser. The 2015 World Championship Finals continue right after this.
We're about to find out right now who's going to get the momentum in Game 1. Marin into the fight now. KOO and Prey are the targets, and that's going to be KOO going down. SKT seemingly pulling this one back in their favor. Faker range. Faker over the wall. Are they going to be able to take down KOO? The Wild Growth is down. The first one is Gorilla. They have Prey in the perfect spot, and they take down Prey. They take down Gorilla, and it's just chaos for KOO. They cannot find the right positioning. SKT is running down the lane. Hojin can't even help on the outside right now. Somehow, KOO gets out, only losing Prey. No, there goes Hojin. SKT is 2 wins away from the Summoners Cup.